Hello, hello, hello. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Welcome to BBB, Beautiful Black Books. This is brought to you by Poetry Center San Jose. Now, typically, Beautiful Black Books is a program, it's a reoccurring program where we feature Black writers in conversation, followed by Q&A. I've always thought that, we get to see people perform, but you don't get a chance to get behind the scenes and understand who they are. Now, that's what we typically do, right? It's a vessel of exchange where we want to bring Black writers to our communities and our communities to these writers to learn about their sources and inspiration, et cetera, et cetera. But on this special occasion, partly in that it's the San Jose Poetry Festival that's going on. It's been going on since Thursday of this week, will end this Sunday. So if you're in the area, please make sure you tune in. If you're not, some of the events are on Zoom, and all the more reason you should be in San Jose. I'm just saying. But this particular show is to showcase Black poet laureates. It's also to showcase the first time that I think a collection of poems of Black poet laureates have been put together. It's entitled In the Fullness of the Word, an anthology of Black American poet laureates, volume 1. And today we're featuring some of our laureates, some of which are in the first volume of this book, this landmark book. We have Stanley, Richardson, we have Henry Jones, we have Dasha Kelly, we have Dasan, Ahanu, we have Rhea, Carmon. So I'm not going to talk long because I want to get into it. But I do want to say that this segment is so important for so many reasons, least of which is that, I really wanted to share the work and achievements of some of these amazing individuals. And this is just a pocket of them. This is a few that are in this group of Black poet laureates. And I want to make sure, this is an effort for them to be acknowledged and heralded for all the unique work that they have been doing and continue to do for our collective communities around the US and beyond. So I'm hoping that this is the first of many where we can showcase what these individuals are doing in the world. The only negative about today is that because I wanted to bring you so many of them, that we can only give each of them 10 minutes. So make sure that you find out who they are. We'll put the bios and such in the links in the chat. But look them up because your life will be rewarded. We'll give you a little bit of them today, but you can get more of them, and we'll see them more on the various shows that we put together. Anyway, look, I'm proud to be included in this group. I'll stop talking and we can get to it. So I'm not going to read verbatim from these bios because, as I said, they're going to be in the actual, they're in the chat. First up, and hopefully this gentleman is ready to go, Henry Jones. Henry Jones, again, you'll see it in his bio, multi-disciplinary artist, award-winning poet, all of the good words. But I met this individual as part of, like I said, a part of being in the Laureate program, but also I got to interview him on my show, Beautiful Black Books. And I got to tell you, I try to attach words to people, partly because I'm just old and I need to have mnemonic devices to remind myself, but more because they imbue a certain characteristic. And for me, it feels like, whenever I talk to Henry, whether that be online or in person, I feel like I'm talking to a historian, that takes sort of all of this history, all of this grit, this beautiful story, and pours it into his work, whether that be art or that be writing poetry. So again, you can read all the multi accomplishments in the chat, but I want to open it up and let Henry get his time. So Henry, jump in, my friend.
Oh my gosh. Thank you, Shaka. And the first time we met, thinking back, it's funny how you meet people, you talk with them, and time passes by. Today, I'm going to share with you poems that are in the anthology, In Fullness of the Word. The first one is a poem which, I exhibited at the Parthenon Museum. This particular exhibit was called Kindred Links. It was about gentrification going on in North Nashville. And I looked at the artwork. It was my art and the artwork of Omari Booker. I did this for abstract pieces dealing with forces, and he was mainly a portrait artist. I looked at everything, and I woke up one morning because the images were in my head, and this poem came from that. And I sent it to the curator. He loved it, and it became part of the show. We had a film documentary, our artwork, because we were just canvassing North Nashville. It's near downtown area. It's titled, Once We Ran with the Wind. I searching for old paths, longing to find our lost dreams, once so easily found in the streets, named after no one we knew or anyone who cared about us. Legs racing for the house, searching a beacon to get home before the streetlights came on. Lit for swift children to know, passing, smiling, waving neighbors. Better move your butt faster, they know why you ran. To prevent whippings with a belt for being late, not again. So you ran like a gazelle, swallowing Wilma's breath, giving you a second wind, pretending to be the hero Flash. Better get home soon, late legs, as trails of dry leaves rise and fell. Quickly hiding your direction, so hunters couldn't follow you home, mark the sacred space as condemned. Our house was all we had, but just enough to make us believe we were safe at night. A home where laughter coated the walls, layered memories of joy and pain. Welcome griot voices that echoed history with stories about the now to now. As bowlegs kept running and running and running and knowing we walked on pothole-filled roads to work. We marched on hot, hard streets for justice. We ran through grassy fields to freedom. We danced to release all our heartaches until weary and worn, but we kept moving. Until those legs found their way back home. No matter how far, they never stopped, finding a way to make a way back, because stopping isn't in us to ever do. So when we fell, we rose mighty again on strong currents with wind-wide wings. We learned to fly away, seeing faces as pavers along the paths, those journeys of rising and falling again. So many times we became dizzy, but we just smiled, still moving, and changed motion into music, pulling out songs from our hearts, singing our words from our longing, old spirituals of those waymakers. Still, we struggle to keep moving. No one can see us moving alone. Ghost glances of our past, new faces, twisted smiles stand their ground. New roads, new faces, new places. We just gone, vanished overnight, pretending we never existed. Only secret remains found of us as I searching for old paths, longing to find our lost dreams. Once we ran with the wind. And it was that, the documentary we did that was included in the exhibit, I drive, when I go to Nashville, I drive in those areas and literally overnight, buildings have been removed or projects. It was like, what is this? It's just happening so quickly. This next poem is titled The Holes I Have. This was published in the anthology Send You 10 Years of Poetry in the Brew, and then featured in chapter 16 of the Humanities Tennessee. The Holes I Have. A soft light reflects on my walls, filling the room with cheerful, dancing silhouettes. Images tracing alone hidden places flood my mind through these holes in my head called eyes. These strange creatures soar through the pinks, blues, and whites of the covers. Quilted happiness to the strands and stories heard each night of places and people. Then warm kisses goodnight echo in my mind through the holes in my head called ears. Now old, drinking brandy, full-bodied, a calm invades my bones with warmth, bringing a hush, a contentment like those stories, drinking nectar to rain on the castles in my mind. Playful games kill the dragons flowing inside through the long gutter in my head called a mouth. Years of the living, the dead, the hushed, the moving. Ancient winds blow across my face, scent of old lies, becoming a dry desert, once salty oceans of plenty. Aromas persist along the flowing currents, rye from the fields, roses on the bush, strings of honeysuckle through those downward holes in my head called a nose. The sights, sounds, taste, and smell of you from those years, surrounding me, inspiring me to paint an unseen image. Many pictures replayed and relived, but longing for you. Those things which I've yet to see or feel for many years, I peek back at those moments, wondering what to do now with the hole in my chest where a heart once pounded for you. And the last one is, as a poet, or just a creative person, inspiration can come from practically anywhere. And when the In Fullness of the Word anthology was coming about, they said, well, we'd like a poem as a commemoration to the city, county, or state that the Black poets represent. And I've written something about Hendersonville. I'm the poet laureate of Hendersonville, Tennessee. And I wanted to, I guess, make it more specific because there were different projects and things. And this piece is that piece. Shaka mentioned the historical remnants in my work, and this really tied in a lot of what I've seen, experienced, and learned about this city. It's in this season, a tribute to Hendersonville, Tennessee. I wanted to visit the historic rock castle, Hendersonville's oldest house in the city. In a forest, I found and walked on a trail. As gliding autumn leaves fell around me, their dry and frail remains were covered with many memories of summer's colors, which led me in this season to history, where its builder, the busy Daniel Smith, who perhaps stepped on a similar path while thinking about founding a place, a city by the lake one day as a house, a home, unveiled his vision like a sleepy dream. My journey on this thick autumn bed, only seen with a hunter's good eye, the slightly camouflaged, sunken footprints, showed layers, leaves comforting the earth. I walked on down while carefully listening of the sounds crushing, brittle notes cracking. While approaching the rock castle estate, I felt the presence of old souls near the house, a masonry wonder of hewed stone, bricks made by hands dreaming and longing for freedom, of enslaved people who constantly worked, who had cataract faint eyes of Africa. Missed smiles and faces slowly faded. Blue words of spirituals drifted in the wind as the jealous fingers grasped along edges contemplating like something, contemplating and searching for gold and the right spot on the stone to chisel along a righteous score with just one blow. To properly build a house where Daniel's wife, Sarah Mitchie, could feel safe and loved again, with rooms for her furniture, lace, and family, a home to entertain awaiting curious visitors, a home to serve a classy maven sweet tea, a home to draw faith when alone and lonely, and a home to help hold on to another day. I entered the front doorway like a sneaky child. Inside, I found spirits who appeared as fog clouds, performing scenes in a play as though still alive. They talked with their voices of echoed silence. I couldn't hear what they were saying, but longed closely, trying to read their lips, wondering if they were whispering secrets to each other about me as their dead visitor. Night fell, showing them clearer and more real. As I watched Daniel get up, walking around, he went toward a door to go outside. I followed him to a shining full moon. He stood staring along the Cumberland River as waves pushed against the shore by lunar breezes, which caused his eyes to squint with visions of longing to find a place to rest and clear his head, like when he's tired and lays on his wife's warm lap. Forgetting his jobs of politics and surveying, she'd stroke his hairs and just enjoy their time. His eyes cried about the native blood stains smeared on land which needed redemption. As his body faded, blending with the starry night, he vanished like a child playing hide and seek, gone along the river filled full of shed tears. Wet memories made from the damned notions of orphaned land submerged with hidden shacks, families embedded in thick mud, denied existence, steal away those torn, missing pages of history. In this season, is this why ghosts keep returning? Stories told about the city with dry, hushed lips, but still summoned by the land, a sacred calling. Old Black headstones clean with loving hands, caressing vinca vines as I walk to remember, which became roads now clearly paved with hope, a dream founded in 1784 for the city by the lake, what we call Hendersonville, Tennessee, was born. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Henry. Again, as I said before, there's so many, there's so much emotion, so many things that come out when I listen to your work, that warm my heart, that agitate, that make me angry, that make me happy. Like, so, all the feels. So I appreciate you, man. Thank you so much for today.
And thank you all for listening.
Absolutely. So next we have Dasan. So, again, we're gonna go through the he's a self-described introvert, which makes me laugh because his pen is anything but. Public professional. I mean, he's just there's so many things that he's done. And as I said, I'm not going to go through the bio. I'm just going to talk about I'm just going to talk because it's my show and I can do that. So, what comes to mind here is when that saying of birds of a feather flock together, right? When I've gone through sort of these last years, I won't talk about how many years I've been in this world, but you meet different people, and all good people, most good. You meet good people, and there's always this connection, right? There's always this connection to this individual. It's like I got a brother over here, and in conversation, he mentions Dasan. I've got a brother, talk to a sister over here, in conversation, mentions Dasan. Not to mention that we've gone to many a national poetry competition as well, and been on stage and on the dance floor. I'm not gonna say who's gonna dance better, but I'm just, just it. But needless to say, I am so excited that number one, he's with us today. Number two, that he's a Black Poet Laureate, and number three, that we're all getting a chance to hear some of his work today. So without further ado, I will pass it to you, brother.
Thank you so much. Man, it's an honor and pleasure to be here. And thank you, Henry. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate you, Shaka, for even making this happen. This piece is from a current chapbook that was released in conjunction with my current laureateship, but also just a pandemic project that was inspired by the conversation. The whole project was inspired by the conversation that Andre 3000 had with Rick Rubin on his podcast. It's called Two Dope Boys at a Bus Stop. I saw a red dodgeball in an empty sand lot and wondered if it was a burial marker for the last bit of melanated, wide-eyed wonder not deemed worthy of compassion, understanding, or due process. I paid the boy at the bus stop $20 to use his imagination to dig as far as he could beneath the sand. Now he and I are both standing there, staring at the lot, wondering who we should airbrush on our t-shirts first. The city bus pulling up finally disrupted our morning. On the side of it was an ad for almond and soy milk. Funny how dark things are promoted as better for you when they are considered white performing. We looked at the side of the bus and then at each other. I shook my head. His shoulders slumped. He gave me 2 quarters and a bar of chocolate. I watched the doors close behind him. Now I'm standing here with change, unwrapping candy like I'm trying to resurrect someone's Black child, wondering if I just spent a moment with God, wondering if what I just witnessed was prophecy, debating if it's true that for every life lost, another affirmation of the pain we are covered in is born. This is called Black Cloud. And this is actually from my next full-length collection that will be published with Willow Books. It is part of a series of books written about Black life. This piece, Thunder. This piece is, the collection is about Black Southern Christianity. So it's called Black Cloud. Starts with a scripture, Matthew 9:13, but go and learn what this means. I desire mercy, not sacrifice, for I have not come to call the righteous, but sinners. When we hear thunder, don't it sound like Gabriel still trying to teach God how to use that MPC? Like angels laughing when he say that next album gonna be fire? Because we've been waiting on that reveal with biblical anticipation longer than we waited for detox. When we hear gunshots, don't it sound like Job ad-libbing over a Marvin Gaye sample loop with the 808 of Lauren London's Broken Heart? Like Lucifer laughing at a life of opulence turned tragedy because we've been waiting on the proof that a contract hit can be more billboard than casket with as much delusion as believing prosperity can be gospel. When the shells hit the ground, when that rumble crosses the sky, don't it sound like a Morse-coded wonder of am I still relevant? Like sacrifices too often on earth as it is in heaven. I mean, is anybody still listening? I mean, when the skies open, do we dance like ain't no other freedom? I mean, when that beat drops, do we become overwrought with anxiety? Is it all marveled at but never understood, confused by but never interrogated, mad at but never reconciled? Does it sound like you ain't never gonna not remember me? Does it hurt like why does it got to be this way? And then it breaks you down like I bet you didn't even see it coming. This piece is a poem that is It's a very interesting piece. So it's one of those things that I never really, I had the idea of, but never knew how this was going to resonate with folks. It's called Metaphor for Delbert McClintock's. Delbert McClintock's is John Candy's character in Arachnophobia. The thing about poems is that our poems get renamed. Nobody calls it Metaphor for Delbert McClintock's because nobody cares that I took a lot of pain to come up and a lot of creativity to come up with that title. They just call it the spider poem. So, but this happens to us all the time, you know, because in our craft, we're taught to think about the titles of our poems. And folks be like, we don't care about all that effort and energy you put into that title. We're going to call this poem this thing. And if enough of us all call it that, then that's what the new name of this poem is. So this is my last poem, and it is called, and it is affectionately known as the Spider Poem. I'm in the bathroom one morning, getting ready for the day, and as I run the water and reach for my toothbrush, I notice something dangling suspended just to the left. It's about 3 inches above the toilet in the corner of the bathroom. My eyes focus, and immediately I tense up. It's a spider. My heartbeat quickens. I'm starting to get a little frantic. I scan the room to try to figure out how to quickly eradicate this threat. I settle on a moist paper towelette. It's easy, encompassing, clean. I can grab, squeeze, and throw it away with no remorse. It's perfect. I do consider letting it be for a moment, wondering if we could possibly cohabitate in this house without violence or disruption. I think briefly of a family, you know, little cretins waiting for daddy to come home. Funny how it's always a daddy. Like mama couldn't have spun as functional of a web, like mama couldn't have made this same trek with as much diligence or determination, but my patriarchal sense of compassion was shorter than an Animal Planet commercial break. It had to die. I'm afraid of spiders. I have been since I was a child. If I see them in the house, they gotta go. If I see them in the car, either they gotta go or I gotta go. If they get missing before I find them, the car gotta go. There are no other options. If I see a spider on the outside of my windshield, I contemplate if I have to get out because I worry about sneak attack. This means that the spider can never survive. It doesn't matter that I'm bigger. I've seen National Geographic. It doesn't matter that I have the control. I heard about spider bites, seen webs everywhere, hate running into them, always wonder why they gotta be there, you know, outside. I've seen Spider-Man. I know what contact with them can turn you into. It's funny though. I only kill them when they're in places that belong to me, spaces I claim or hold authority over. If I see them as a confrontation, I must win. It doesn't matter what kind of spider it is. I don't need to know its background. I already know that they are dangerous spiders, and any one of them I see fits the description. I mean, I don't normally look to kill things. Well, just bugs that are in places I didn't invite them to, bugs that don't look like me or look like those I respect or love. Those are other things, and I hate spiders the most. Some say they're necessary, that they're things that they're willing to deal with that bother me. I say they should stay away or they will die. Now, I've never been bitten by a spider, never been attacked, though I call it that when I run into its web, disrupt its neighborhood, destroy what it built, interrupt its work, its life. I've never seen a spider in a menacing pose, never seen it reach for a weapon, just look scary, just look like danger. I've never given it warning, but it knew I was there. Never saw it raise its legs, but it must be preparing to retaliate. I've never given it rights, just considered my survival right and just. Time is of the essence. I call it a life or death situation. It doesn't die on the first squeeze. It's running, trying to escape. Fleeing is a violation. Lethal force is now necessary. I smashed it against the wall. I've made a mess, but there are more than enough ways to clean it up. Either I or someone else will do it, make it go away. I just got to explain my side. Nobody cares about any other. Judge me for what I've done and I'll be acquitted. After all, it's just a spider. Aren't there more than enough of them? Are there any really good spiders anyway? I'll just tell everybody it was a struggle. The danger was imminent. The stakes were high. I had to act quick. They should have complied and stayed away or complied and died quickly. I would say it was a threat. It was probably up to no good hanging there about to cause problems or get into trouble. They'll listen to my report and call it fallen protocol. And someone somewhere will sing an itsy bitsy memorial. Someone wonder if spider is coming home. A bunch of eyes will find out how vicious fear is, how being somewhere where someone thinks you don't belong can leave an empty web as remembrance, like chalk outline on asphalt. And so, yeah, thank y'all. That was from my collection, Shackled Freedom, that's out now. Black Living in the Modern American South. So it's been an honor, and I can't wait to hear everyone else share. Thank you.
Oh, come on, man. Thank you so much for this. For those of you who just joined us, you are experiencing some Black poet laureates, part of a community. This is just a touch of what's in this community, and I'm so happy to be able to bring that to everyone. We also are talking about In the Fullness of the Word. This is the book. I don't know how to do that, like, YouTube showing thing, but as you can see, I have multiple copies. I've also put a link in the chat for you to get it. But this is, again, the first of many. Thank you so much, Dasan, for sharing with us. You need to change that bio to talk about you an introvert. Anyway, next up, Queen, as we like to call Queen Dasha Kelly Hamilton. Again, as I said, the bios are in the chat. There's so much that this person has done, that Dasha has done, authoring, putting shows together. But when I think of Dasha, the word again that comes to my mind is nurturing. Like the minute that you get into conversation with her, you feel better. You feel like just in a voice, right? It's like soft hands holding your face. Like, it'll be okay. Well, I didn't know anything was wrong, but either way, I feel better. So it's just the energy that she carries. Known each other directly and indirectly, which means I was stalking her from before. Just a wonderful presence. He leaves such a pleasant aura behind her when she enters the room. So again, you can read all the accolades in the chat, but I will pass it on to Dasha Kelly Hamilton.
Thank you so much, Brother Shaka, and all of my kin who are on the screen. A real high, eyeball to eyeball, sort of. And of course, with that gracious introduction, I'm going to do a first poem on some foolishness, one of my favorites, and another poet laureate who's in the virtual space with us. Mario Willis is a poet laureate for the city of Milwaukee, and he told me recently that I do not do this poem enough. So you have him to thank for this. Having an orgasm is like catching a fly. You hear it before you see it. You're not really sure where it's coming from, that buzz, maybe behind the curtain or inside the lampshade. You hear it, and then you don't. So you go back to doing whatever it was you were doing, folding, scribbling, pumping, nothing complicated, just what you do. And then you hear it. So now you're focused. You know a promise when you hear one. So you follow that sound as it curls itself around ribbons of air and weaves in between sonic waves. You can hear it taunting you, Marco to your polo, dissonance to your solo. You can even feel it tickling the prickles of your flesh without ever touching your skin. And then you see it, this erratic spasm defying rhythm and space. It's a choreography you had to teach yourself over the years because you weren't real good at that fly catching business when you were younger. When you were younger, it was all wild flailing and crazy swinging, chasing around tiny flies with newspapers, envelopes, raggedy house shoes, whatever you can get your hands to, until indignity melted into exhaustion and you resigned yourself to simply wait, praying that bliss might find its way to your toe, land on your shoulder, or God help you, kiss the inside of your thigh. Till that one time, that one night, you were listening to a buzz of a siren song and you wanted to sing songs too. So you knew you had to decide. And with that one action, it's like someone releases red droplets of ink onto naked strips of rice paper. Rich color pulling toward your untouched edges, dragging itself toward your uncolored stretches. And this is called desire. And you have that red color coursing through your veins, you're going to catch that fly. No matter how, no matter who's watching and what you look like and what they think. If you have to twist your mouth into unflattering expressions, you are going to catch that fly. If you have to growl nasty language through clenched teeth, you are catching that motherfucking fly. If you have to jerk and twist your body into unnatural positions, you are going to catch that fly. And when you do, that weightless insect will feel like a 2-ton rhino wrestled into submission, victory in the palms of your hands. So you drop it because it's nasty. Little girls don't catch flies, especially not in the palm of your hand. So you drop it and raise an unfounded declaration of what good girls don't do. Convincing that warrior princess inside of you that Serengeti soundtrack and that taste of gazelles you once hauled between your teeth. You are a huntress by heritage, but they told you it was nasty, left you standing. And now we have these shadows crying on our bedroom walls. They're tears trying to wash away the memories of wide open freedoms and understood hunger. And we are still left standing, trying to smudge away gummy carcasses and black lace wings from the palms of our hands, trying to smudge away the nasty like they told us. But this hunger is deeper than etiquette, stronger than liberation. Sexuality imprints its own genome pattern into the puzzle of your spine. Did you think it was an accident? The way desire grabs and pulls at your uncolored stretches, orgasmic pleasure is your birthright, warrior queen. So let's rise up. Let's rise up. We need to rise up and hunt the way our grandmothers instructed on their etchings on mountaintops and tree roots and soft tone cave walls. We need to take to the buzzing killing fields. But before you pick up your swords and your shields, we need to grab hands, bow our heads, and make a solemn pledge to teach our daughters to catch more flies. Happy lunch, good people. Happy lunch, good people. So the next short pieces I'd like to share, I'm presently touring a show called Making Cake. And Making Cake is a one-woman performance where I give the history of all of America's isms, racism, classism, sexism, and some other ones, by giving the history of cake. And there are 2 bakers on stage making cakes live. And at the end, the audience, we have cake together and talk about what they learned about getting their life together. So there's also a cookbook. Here's a funny thing though, y'all. I don't bake at all. Can't do it. Don't like it. I know. We'll talk later. But still, we all have experiences with cake. So these little quick poems are life experiences and lessons through cake. So this first one is a haiku. Margarine. Butter, Miss Judy hissed at my mother. You think you're better than us? Protected with Tupperware, double wrapped in foil, bunt pans and layer cakes lowered gingerly like fragile porcelain, like pots of gold, like stacks of untaxable cash, like wagers, like house money, like newborn redemption and buttercream frosting. Crinkled aluminum peeled open in equal measures of judgment and jubilee. Grandma Pearl fought gasping tears that one Sunday her cake fell, panicked to place less than her best beside Sister So-and-so's on a crowded table in the church basement. And I'm going to skip this one. I think I'm on time. This is my new favorite poem. And we all get a new favorite poem, every 3 weeks or so? This is my new favorite poem of the moment. A little ditty about Jack and Diane, 2 American kids growing up in the heartland. Here's a little ditty about being Black, specifically being Black in white spaces. And you can't get much whiter than Mellencamp. And I knew the hit song by heart. Jackie's gonna be a football star. Diane's debutante backseat of Jackie's car. I rode into puberty on the first yellow school bus to transport Black promise across school district white lines. I tested into all advanced classrooms without my busmates, without anyone who looked like me, without any charm defenses against indifference, or at best, lowered expectations. Back at the bus stop, I'd be asked, if there's a race war, which side are you going to be on? Oh yeah, life goes on long after the thrill of living is gone. Oh yeah, life goes on long after the thrill of living is gone. I forfeited my afternoon bus seat gleefully for the unexamined world of after-school offerings. Even considered the wrestling team's mat maids. The volleyball tunneled my safe passage between the school days. Well, then there, Diane, gotta run off to the city. Diane said, baby, you ain't missing nothing. Two teammates blast Jack and Diane after a game. I spin my head at the tune and move to stand in their presence, prove myself familiar, if not worthy. I sing along with the radio, eyebrows raised and coaxing. They waited awkwardly for the final lyric, for me to walk away, to restore polite distances until our mothers came. Drum solo. I was voted most outstanding 7th grade student that year, handed the tallest trophy and the last award of the assembly. No one cheered wildly or called out my name, Black or white. Maybe they'd spent their best hand claps, or maybe they suspected long before I could the tittering in the teacher's lounge about my clever questions, my eager disposition, my superb diction. Mislabeling their astonishment at my accomplishments and sweeping ancient mountains under a middle school Black molehill. Maybe I was more available than outstanding. Change is gonna come real soon, make us women and men. My parents were in the auditorium, sitting in reserved seats to my left. Seeing their faces from the stage made me feel better. Outstanding, even. Faces like mine, enthusiastic and isolated, excellent and ignored, proud, Black, and a little uncomfortable. American kids doing the best they can. Thank you.
Dasha, thank you. Thank you so much. You see what I mean? Don't y'all all feel better? Y'all all feel better. And if you don't, you're lying and you weren't listening. Thank you so much for being with us today and for being the person you are, frankly. So again, next we have another gentleman coming to the stage, to the microphone, Stanley Richardson. Now again, Stan, I haven't met, we haven't spent a lot of time together. He's part of this fantastic group of individuals. So right there, he already gets the check of approval. But in the brief conversations we can have, again, the thought that comes to mind with Stan is Stan's about his business. You know what I mean? Stan just gets stuff done. And when you look at his bio, when you look at what he's trying to do, I mean, even when we started this conversation, when we started this presentation today, one of the first things he jumped into was sort of, what he's doing and how he's trying to do it, and putting programs and things together for the community, just getting things done. And I respect that about you, and hope that we can work together a lot more closely going into the future. But again, Stan's bio is in the chat. You'll see all the beautiful things that he's been doing and all the many things that he's been doing. But I am going to stop talking and pass the mic over to you, Stan.
Hey everybody, thank you for the introduction. I get a lot of stuff done, try to, because I feel like I'm running out of time. See, I'm late to the party. I just embrace this thing myself and calling myself an artist. Writing is something I've always done. Acting, I would always do characters as playing as a child, but I didn't know what I was doing was art. Not until recently. I met this woman who I eventually am married to now, who told me I was an artist, and that was just a few years ago. So once I started embracing this thing about art, I started sharing this stuff I've written on my entire life just to keep my sanity. They said, no, you need to share it with other people. And so they had a poet laureate call for artists for my county, and I didn't think I was actually qualified because I don't have an MFA or anything like that. I'm just a dude that likes to write. So anyway, they chose me. So here I am. I'm so glad I met this group. It has given me, it's been great. So thank you so much. I'm gonna read a poem from my book that I wrote called Hip Hop is Dead, Long Live Hip Hop, The Birth, Death, and Resurrection of Hip Hop Activism. And I am 61 years old. I grew up in the middle of the civil rights movement. So every time there is a little buzz in the street, I'm looking for the revolution because they told me that it was a revolution that was on the horizon. So I'm still looking for that revolution. So this book was written right during the time of Black Lives Matter and that what I thought was going to be the revolution. Anyway, so and it has it's about the relationship, the Black struggle, and music. So this is called Prologue Poem. This is a book of poetry. This is a book of poetry. This is a book of poetry and poetic prose, born from the womb of those ancestors' song. Africa's rhythm. Africa's rhythm. Africa's rhythm, royal and free. This is a book of poetry. Kingdom chant, morning song, midnight calling, kingdom chant. Long, long, long before Negro slave narrative, cotton field song, gospel song, freedom song, blues, rhythm blues, my baby ain't got no shoes song, jazz song, soul and rock and roll song, reggae song, funk, and more funk. Don't stop, don't stop, don't stop, hip hop song, hip hop, hip hop. Hip hop, they cannot stop this thing we sing, song, divine offspring, song pushed from fertile womb between black thighs of expression and revolution, song. The only solution is to distort it into perversion song. And I grew up with R&B and funk, so in the 70s. So this is my ode to James Brown. It's called The Birth of Funk. That boy was born in a groove, wedged in a place somewhere down deep between a pleading pulse and a signifying sound. Oh, but you should have seen him when he started to crawl, make his way across rooms. Then when he learned to walk, his very first step was on the one, hard and deliberate. Even as a child, always starting something so deep, so thick, you could wade in it for years. And when he was a baby, he didn't cry much, just screamed, please, please, please. Not begging, but needing to be recognized, worthy, legitimate. Trying to make sense of it all. At first, his mama didn't understand, thought something was wrong with the child. Then she realized the reason why she couldn't quite comprehend the rhythm of her birth pains. remembering the mysterious words the preacher man told her, kneeling down between her thighs, his hands on her swollen belly like he holding a sacred urn. Your baby, a prophet. What? What you say? Your baby, a prophet. Yes, Lord, a prophet, a divine deliverer, a badass bringer, a show enough, a soul singer. Oh, your baby, he gonna change time, set free sound, baptize a nation, save a generation with a hard and deliberate downbeat. Your baby, he gonna make the world funky. Hallelujah. Also, thank you, Henry, for reminding me about a poem I wrote for my county, Alachua County, and it was I was commissioned to write something for my county, and I came up with this piece called Eden, so I'll share it. Alachua, we're here in Florida. We're right in the. I'll tell you what. Before I read that, I'm going to read a poem called Century Oak. And my first duty as poet laureate, when I was chosen in 2020, maybe within less than a week, I was contacted by the commission and they wanted me to write. We were right in the middle of beginning our Truth and Reconciliation project for the victims of lynching in and around Alachua County. And Alachua County has one of the highest rates of lynching in America. I grew up listening to stories about the Newberry Six, and it's not far from where I am right now. There was this lynching that took place. And so it was kind of heavy to come up with something, and my relationship with these majestic oak trees is different, I guess. And I met a young lady recently. My last time even doing this poem was to a young lady who we were doing some stuff together at University of Florida, and she was much younger. And I started talking about how beautiful these trees were, and she says she hates them. She wants to cut them all down. They don't need to live. You know what those trees are, what they did? I'm like, yeah, but it wasn't the trees' fault. So she has a real bad thing with these trees. I mean, even the little ones, she wants to cut them down before they even get a chance to grow up to be big trees. So she hates live oak trees, to say the least. So this is my poem called Century Oak. And it is in the book, the anthology. As I walked by, the tree cried out, "Why don't you hold me anymore? Sit beneath my shade. We barely ever talk like we once did 100 years ago. I know you blame me for being deep inside of us, hidden in the blind spot of memory. All of our pent-up pain we must feel. I know you blame me because if I had not been, they could not have dangled your mother, your sister, your father, your brother from my limbs. There would be no blood on my branches. I would be only brown, like you, with green hair, without tinge, with no hint of red on my wood. Please forgive me. Had I known, if I could, I would have plucked myself up by the roots. And this is my my poem for my county, Alachua County, and this is called Eden. Not long ago, Not long ago, just yesterday, when the earth was still cool from creation, the Timucua named the land Alachua out of admiration. Alachua, 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 where sweet waters ripple, rivers rise and sink, where we sing songs on the Santa Fe and bask in crystal clear springs. Alachua, Alachua, Alachua. And so there are others, fathers and mothers called to a greater collective. Alachua, Archer, Gainesville, Hawthorne, High Springs, LaCrosse, Micanopy, Newberry, Waldo, because we know together we are an elegant tapestry, a beautiful place, an Eden of the South, where sweet waters ripple, rivers rise and sink, where we sing songs on the Santa Fe and bask in crystal clear springs, where in the moment, Bo Diddley's his sister Hazel and Tom Petty's his brother, Willie Green's blues and all the other expressive hues. Alachua, 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 where we hike and we bike and we explore divine trails, all to discover how it feels in a forest full of fireflies. Oh, the awe of beauty and wonder. Alachua, 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 where each day we are called to witness the glory of the sun as it beckons orange in a sea of blue above the vast prairie run, and the rays tilt to heaven's perspective, and the golden day glistens and the sawgrass listens to the cattails telling the cypress trees swaying in the slow evening breeze. And gators growl, and gators growl, and gators stomp, and gators do what gators do in the gators swamp. And we fare, and we fare, and we festival, and we dance alive as the symphony plays in the great hall chamber. A ballerina leaps from a cloud above the hippodrome, and the ovations stand as innovation and tech hold tight our clever hand, and art speaks in all its many sacred tongues conceived at the angle of beauty achieved in the wild spaces and the public places where nature and culture meet. Alachua County, Florida, our Eden of the South. Thank you. I'm not sure if I have any more time. Do I have more time?
We gotta move on to
Okay, cool.
but no,
Thank you. I am so grateful and honored to be here with you guys. I mean, it's been incredible. I love all of the poetry. Thank you so much. Especially, I'm gonna maybe go catch some flies later.
Love it. Thank you so much, Stan, on sharing with us and opening up your heart to us. I really appreciate it, and for
You're welcome.
being doing what you do in the
Thank
community.
you.
Next, this is last but not least, the incomparable Rhea Carmon. I mean, there's so much to say about this person. Again, if you scroll all the way up to the top, you'll see the bios in the chat. But the reason that we have this book in the first place is because of this young lady working. Like, I got to tell you, there's one thing when you're trying to corral cattle. It's a whole different world when you try to corral poets together. To get poets together to not only get you things the right way, to get you things on time and such. So it's just an incredible amount of effort that she's taken her personal time to do and to honor, right? To honor us with this work. Outside of that, she's just an incredible human being. She's a fantastic poet. And I could be here for ages singing her praises, but I am going to pass the mic over to Rhea. Thank you for being here and for all you do.
Thank you so much, Shaka. Wow, it is just an honor to be here with these poets. But two, I've been trying to figure out what I was going to read, and then everybody inspires me in a different way. So I'm going to try and get it all in there. I'm not going to introduce a poem. I'm just going to go and try and use up my whole 10 minutes. That's what I'm going to do. So this first piece is called For All the Women Who Made It. I come from a long line of ebony goddesses, women who knew how to burn, whether with tongue or Bunsen. They cooked up recipes of family around the table, laughing and singing songs of praise and triumph. I come from a heritage of thought and expression, thinkers that created a way for children to feel like royalty on a beggar's budget, a history of femininity, not afraid to work and submit, making our husbands full of love, bellies full of good food that keeps them strong enough to face the world even when it doesn't welcome them. I come from the North and the South. I carry hallelujahs and a bitch slap, Southern charm and hood smarts. I am the daughter of a singer, a veteran, a boxer, and a deacon, so I'm complex, multifaceted, as deep as mirrors facing one another. I come from grace and mercy, so I give it and receive. I come from love, planted in the soil of my heart, so I am capable of growing a garden, but don't be deceived. I also come from climbing trees and playing football in the streets, so I am capable of taking a hit and giving one. I come from the darkness of self-doubt into the light of self-acceptance. No makeup, just oil of Olay, beauty as natural as the Smoky Mountains. I come from a history of titans and daily emerge stronger and greater, proud of my background, proud of my Blackness, proud of my heritage and my difference. Everything I have learned to be is the essence of this melanin and power flowing through my veins. I am history, Black daughter, Black mother, Black wife, Black poet, excellence from a long line of ebony goddesses, and I wear my crown with pride. This next point is called After the Black, one of my favorites right now. There are few things that are obvious from a first glance. The most obvious is that I am Black, and I suppose you could stop there. You could allow that to put a wall between you and I, or you could see it as an immediate connect with me, whichever you choose. I fear that you will have only scratched the surface of my essence. What will you do after the Black? After you have judged whether I match or clash your perception, following that initial reaction, will you care to know my story? Because you can't know immediately that I identify as heterosexual. You can't know that I am married with children, that I wish daily that my children could meet the man that raised me and climb into his lap to cough and pox. That my mother speaks to me every time I cross her mind because her spirit is connected to me and she is my first hero. There is no way for you to know that I see the world in poetry and numbers because they are real and tangible. I express my love to one of these two ways to every person in my life. What will you miss if you never make it past the Black? How many hugs that can change your day or mood you miss out on? How much inspiration and strength will you fail to ever see? How many problems will you never solve? How much understanding will you miss? How much love if you only see me as a comrade or foe? Have you truly looked? I am broken by the people that spread hatred through their gaze, judging, pulling triggers or closing doors, forgetting to see human before difference, spreading lies and division without first thinking golden, finding reasons to remove a story by only looking skin deep, religion deep, party deep, sexuality deep, paycheck deep. For whatever you have chosen, you're Black to be. What will it take for you to see after it? To see one another as humanity? To know that somebody has loved or been loved by another, looked up at the same sky and seen the same sun, gazed into the night and shared the same stars, closed their eyes to sleep or die and met the same darkness. We are all looking for the light. looking through mirrors to see ourselves as more than just a list of Black that somebody may not accept. I've learned to love myself. My dark skin and coiled hair, I find power in its energy. I don't always fit in where it seems I should. I keep quiet on issues until I can write about them. I struggle to let people in to love me, but I give love freely, trusting that I will never run out of love for myself. I fight my body against its attempts to break down daily. I am a survivor of more than this Blackness. My father taught me that I was Black and beautiful, making sure that I understood there is more after the Black. There is beauty deeper than this melanin. I will never allow myself to stop there or even see it as weakness or flaw. It is me as much as my quirky personality and belief in God without limitations. It is the understanding that I am made in that image and I have no limitations. I am creation made perfect, just the way I am. So I embrace the flaws and imperfections, the hard days and the glorious transitions. There is nothing wrong with any part of who I am. Every attribute is marked with part of what exists. I am beautiful beyond the Black. I am Mother Earth with treasures in my words, giving life to birth, to light, oceans and fire. There is prophecy in my gardens. My father named me Rhea, calling me to motherhood. I am more than that initial glance, and you will never know until you see me after the Black. And guys, I have another poem, but I also have a son, and he is experiencing a nosebleed. So I have to go to that call to motherhood and be a mother. I love you guys so very much. Thank you so much, Shaka, for having me. I
Love you
wish I
too.
had time to do my last piece.
This is
But I
gonna be
do love you guys.
this is the first of many. We'll have you back. We'll make
Thank
this
you so
happen. But you
much.
go do what you do so well.
Do I have any time left?
Yeah.
Okay, I am. I'm gonna do this last poem, and it's his poem. Hang on just 1 second. Son,
Okay.
go pack your nose. Go pack your nose like I've taught you. Thank you. All right. You have to be a mom for just a second. And this poem is actually for that child. It's called The World Is His Drum. I have run from this beat for long enough. A poem, 11 years in the making, blocked by a diagnosis of lesions on my brain. It scares me to think that I am a teacher, but I do not have all of the answers. I study math, but I do not have all of the solutions. When I cannot see past the moment to understand what he is thinking, I feel helpless and lacking. He was born on my birthday. 33 years after I was, stole the rumble from my voice with brown eyes and hands reaching out toward heaven. I called them his poetry hands. Didn't know he was reaching for a song that planted itself in his spirit long before I would ever hear it. He was 6 months old with a smile that melted my heart when he decided to speak in the language only he could understand, perfect rhythm on his high chair. The spoon and the tray became his first snare drum. Later, my bowls and plates would be the set with practice, perfection. I noticed that he could be in a room full of people, and all he heard was a blast beat, tapped out cadences on Legos and cars. When other children wanted to play, I knew he was different. But it was hard for everyone to hear his beautiful mind. There were signs creating a score for his story. The backbeat wouldn't stop pulling his attention away from everything the educational system thought could have his focus. Led them to test and see what we had known all along. He was a genius, and the world was ready for his song. Autism spectrum disorder is a diversity not even I fully understand. I just know that hiding in the crash is a safe place, and sometimes he runs away to find it. He is all in and all out with common time, focused on or focused off with the dynamics of greatness, more acoustic than digital, more like me than I am often willing to admit. There are days when being his mother is everything I need to know that God loves me. But there are days when I only wish that I could stop the fatback he hears long enough for him to hear the tapping of my voice on his heart, and still days when I wish I could just drown out life with his solo. It is simple for him, a flam that only he hears, a beat that only he is dancing to. I am trying to teach him safety, but he is teaching me life, silently instructing the world to be unique and celebrate. He dances to music like something is taking over his body, unafraid to be different. He speaks to people even when they don't speak back. He never lets it slow the music he hears. They just become a break in the beat that he pops and locks his way through. He loves without question and forgives with no grudges. Everybody is a potential friend. And when they don't respond to his invite, he is quick to let me know that it is their loss. He never has a bad day, not even today. No matter what has happened, when you ask him how his day was, he says it was great. And I know he's had some hard days. I have been there for the days when nothing goes the way he planned and he struggles to find words to make it make sense, but it always makes sense on the drum. I never wanted to be a mother until he came along. It is the best job I never applied for. I try to always tell him that he is an awesome son. And he says that I am an awesome mom in response, but I don't always believe it because I don't always have the answers. I teach math, but I don't always have the solutions. I cannot always find the lyrics for his melody or understand the why behind the scratch in his record. Being his mother has taught me that it is okay to not be the best every day. There is no problem to solve, only another day to practice getting it right. And even when I don't, there's a melody in my heart keeping the tempo, and he will always be there to ride that beat.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
No, I just gotta do it real life. I love it. I love it.
You know, you inspired me to actually finish that poem.
Oh, look, this is it's all mutual. All of this is mutual. I'm so happy that we're able to put this together. Rhea is one of is the last invited poet that we have today. I wanted to, if it's okay with you, just share a quick one before we go. Again, this is about the five folks that we heard today. That's what I want to walk you away with. But again, just love to end it with a little piece called Black Current. Yeah, anyway. Then I found this yesterday dream abandoned, left in the pocket of an old coat, a memory needing to be hidden. It read, become anything other than yourself. And I think I remember when I put it there. They say we should know these things, that men who look like us know only coarse hands and empty, that as men, we are not even men, but boys in search of sadness. Saddles to be ridden and cured, flesh hung and stretched like we were meant to bend but not break, walk but not lead. We are to be sliced deep but not scarred. They tell us that hard love is the only love we can receive, that it will make us strong. And for so long, we've been vaccinated this poison that mothers have layered it into bedtime stories. So we dream of becoming eagles, not knowing we are already the sky. They want to tell us we cannot afford love, cannot distinguish desire from connection, but how do you embrace a wrung neck, still warm from rope burn, and continue to believe there is hope for your children without it? We know love. We know it. We know it after the claws have been removed, after the errant bullet, love after the daughter shade 10 shades lighter, love after mistaken reload, mistaken reload, mistaken reload 44 times. This label they've given to these silhouettes of dragons is a description that our pigment has grown immune to. We've learned how to be prisons with men in our chests, chaos at our feet. This branding you've cattled us with is only skin deep. Melanin is not meant to burn, so we can still warm our women and love our daughters, but still they will say we know nothing of soft, that we are blended into the flesh of cities, that we can see everything in the midnight of souls and retain none of it, that we can listen to the blood running the maze of our bodies, but not hear how it gives life. They will have us believe we do not know our birthrights, but how can we be anything except forgotten when we are such feasts for bad memories? They tell us we are blackberry juice suffocating the white of canvas, ready to be renamed. We are already named after empires, each of us. And because of this, because we can raise our sons whilst our mortality is being tested daily, Because the chalk line hugs our faces in each grand jury selection. Under every unholstered handshake, we still make art of the pain. We mangle the mangle till it is a beautiful mess of survival. Yes, they will tell us we are disposable creatures without worship, but it's because their gods are totems holding their prayers, and ours have long since been squeezed from our windpipes. And they've known this. They've known this well since they've been hiding messages in our pockets. Thank you so much. I want to thank, before I even get
You
to
just gonna end like that? You just gonna just drop? They hide.
Yeah,
messages in
just
our
drop the
pockets
mic.
and
That was
gotta go to
sick,
credits and
Shaka.
wrap up.
Like,
But this was
I'm
not
That's some
Exactly.
Miles Davis
sorry,
stuff
it's your
right
show. I'm
there.
No,
Shaka, that was all of it.
That was
Stop
awesome.
it.
That was awesome, Shaka. Yeah.
Look, I want to first start off by thanking all the folks that took their time, whether it be Saturday morning or Saturday afternoon, in the worlds that you are, to take your time and spend with us here, with us as individuals, with us as Black individuals, with us as Black poet laureates. It means so much on so many levels. I'm honored to be part of this community. I am thankful that you all spent the time to be with us today. I am eternally thankful for the 5 individuals that have shared this this digital screen with us today. I think we might have even had some folks from the UK on the call. Like this is what I aim for, like to just spread what this art form can do as a whole, but then, you know, individually what we can do as a community, as a Black community, what we have been doing. So again, look, I am not going to get on my soapbox. I just want to again thank everyone for being here. And this is, I'm not even gonna say hopefully, I'm gonna make this happen. This is going to be the first of many. We all are gonna get the funding that we all deserve and make this happen, and expose the communities to you guys, and you guys to our communities. And thank you there, Stanley. And the link is in the bio. Please support this book. Like this is going to be, you know, I've said this already to Doom from the Last Poets, waiting for his response. Like this is the first sort of correlation of Black poets, and this is the first again of many. I'm already signing you up, Rhea, so you already know. You know, until we get at least to volume 5 and 6. But please, if you can, reach out, get this book. If you can't find it, reach out to one of the individuals on this call today. You will find it. We will find a way to find you to find it. So support this, support these poets individually. They are amazing. You've only heard a snippet of what they do in this world. Find them, the social media's in there. Find them on their social media channels. If you can't find me, I'll forward you to these people. But you know, I'm a poet, so I'm just gonna keep talking unless I stop. So I am going to stop. Thank you all. I love you all. Thank you for spending this time.
You. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Shaka. You're amazing.
Thank
Yes,
you.
Thanks,
thank you
everybody.
very much. This was phenomenal. Phenomenal.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
Thank you.
enjoyed hearing it.
This is just one. You know, there's many more to come. Thank you guys. Take care. Have a good.
We're gonna do this. We're gonna have a festival, and so I'm gonna invite you guys to come in April of 2024.
Okay, we'll do that.
Okay.
My birthday.
Yeah, and so this is the second day of the San Jose Poetry Festival. There's a lot more to come. At 7 o'clock, if you're in the San Jose area, at 7 o'clock, there's a Youth Poet Laureate presentation. We are sort of showcasing the new Youth Poet Laureate. This is super important. Like they need to know, they need to see adults supporting them as, and I say youth, it's not really even youth, it's just poets who happen to be young, because their pen, it's ridiculous. So whether it be this community here and what's going on right now in San Jose, or your individual communities, please support your young folks doing this work as well. Anyway, enough public service announcements. I am good. Y'all have a good rest of your weekend, and we shall talk soon. Bye-bye.
Peace.
Melanie.